Hi, this is Michael Savage of the Savage Nation. Today, Jeff Kuhner will be filling in for me. I'm recovering from a bit of a head cold. The old voice has gotten affected, and, without a trumpet, you can't play in the band. There's enormous news today, and Jeff will be covering the waterfront for you today on the Savage Nation. He's got all the stories, he's got all the knowledge, and all of the right attitudes for the Savage Nation. I suggest you visit my website, because while my voice is out, my mind is not. This is Michael Savage for the Savage Nation.
This is Jeff Kuhner from the Washington Times, sitting in for the living legend Michael Savage on the Savage Nation. 1-800-449-8255. 1-800-449-8255. My friends, we have an absolutely superb show for you today. We will be giving you on-the-spot analysis and reaction to the President's momentous speech tonight on the BP oil spill. It will be a defining moment in his presidency, and here on the Savage Nation, we will be covering it for you live. Michael, I want to thank you once again, my buddy, for the incredible honor, privilege, and opportunity to fill in your legendary shoes. You are not just an incredible talk show host, Michael. You are also a very kind and decent man. And I want to thank you for the wonderful opportunity to fill in, to talk to your listeners, to talk to members of the Savage. The Savage Nation needs you, and more importantly, America needs you. The issue of this hour: will Obama rally the nation? Members of the Savage Nation, sources close to the White House and many key Democrats in Congress have now confirmed to me that for President Obama, everything is riding on this speech. His poll numbers are plummeting. His popularity is dwindling. His credibility is now eroding. It is not just the conservative right that has turned against him. We have been against him from the get-go because we oppose his transnational radical socialist agenda. But even many on the left are now saying he is an incompetent progressive. This is not what we wanted when we elected him in November 2008. And if this man, this charlatan-in-chief, this comrade-in-chief, our dear leader, this wannabe socialist dictator, if he cannot contain an oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, how is he going to win the war in Iraq? How is he going to win the war in Afghanistan? How is he going to reverse our economic crisis? How is he even going to balance our bloody budget? And now, a specter is hanging over the Oval Office. Now, a specter is hanging over Obama. And so tonight, in a watershed moment in his presidency, trying to break his political freefall, Obama will take to the airwaves. In the Oval Office, he will deliver a nationally televised prime-time address, where he will now seek to portray himself as the decisive leader, as the great president who is now in charge of this growing environmental and economic crisis in the Gulf of Mexico. But my friends, don't be fooled by the imagery and the spin. Listen to what he says, because what you're going to hear is a president of the United States executing Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals down to a T. As Rom Deadfish Emanuel said, don't let a good crisis go to waste. And so now, as we approach, what is it, day 57, day 58? It's becoming, I've said this before and I'll say it again, it's reminding me of the Iranian hostage crisis. For all of you that maybe were too young, in 1979, 1980, when 52 of our diplomats were taken hostage by the crazed Iranian mullahs in Iran. That's when Nightline was born. That's when Ted Koppel started his media career. And every night you would hear, dun, 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 dun. Day 37. The American hostages have still not come home. Dun, 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 dun. Day 52. Day 68. Day 167. It just went on and on and on for 444 days until the election of Ronald Reagan broke the back of the mullahs, and they sent him home the very day he was inaugurated. When are we going to contain this spill? And I'm going to bet all of you dollars to donuts, he will not say one word on concrete action that will be taken to contain and clean up this spill. Because, my friends, he doesn't give a damn about containing this spill. What he's going to do tonight is now he's going to use this as a unique opportunity to do what the socialists and the environmentalists have been dreaming of for decades. It is for them like a dream on the cusp of becoming reality. They are now going to use this crisis to try to pass cap and trade legislation. The whole enchilada, baby. That's where they're going to want to use the federal government to pass massive carbon taxes, to now have the federal government directly control and regiment the entire economy, especially manufacturing and industry. He's going to call again for a criminal investigation of BP, even though, as I've said repeatedly, the explosion on the Deepwater Horizon rig was purely accidental. There's been not a scintilla of evidence that it was somehow deliberate, that this was somehow responsible, that BP somehow had safety shortcuts, or that they were somehow negligent. There's been absolutely not one shred of evidence. Now, don't get me wrong. Like Michael, like Dr. Savage, I am a conservative nationalist. I am not a globalist conservative. I am not a shill for multinational companies. BP should pay for the full costs of the cleanup and the containment. And every fisherman and every person whose livelihood and jobs have been destroyed by this crisis should line up and sue the pants off of BP. But BP is still a private entity. The government doesn't have the right to come in and nationalize BP, as Eric Holder and Obama wants to do, as many on the left want to do, plunder their assets, literally take $20 million of BP's money and put it into an escrow account that's going to be run by the government so that they can then dispense it to all of their cronies and friends in the Gulf Coast. Believe me, that money is not going to go to the people who need it. It's going to go to reward the Democrats as friends and allies. In other words, tonight, Obama is going to make the case to start nationalizing BP and to start nationalizing big oil. And if Venezuela or Russia did this to a U.S. company, we would be up in arms. We would be absolutely up in arms. We would say, rightly, who are these socialist dictators to come in and confiscate private property? Who are they to destroy oil companies? Who are they to plunder their assets and their money? We have something, Mr. President, called the rule of law, called private property rights. And now, Obama is licking his chops to make the case that BP's property rights, that its legal protections must go. And so, my friends, the question before the House is a simple one. Do you believe that Obama will use his speech tonight to try to pass and implement a green socialist agenda? Will this now be the moment that America falls for the poisoned chalice of cap and trade? 1-800-449-8255 is the number.